Next section is about proteins. As I think and hope you already know, proteins are polymers. It means they're like a chain. And the links in the chain are smaller molecules called amino acids. They have a wide variety of functions. When dietary protein is digested, it's broken all the way down to the amino acids, and those are absorbed and carried by the blood to different cells in the body. Many of the amino acids are used for forming new proteins, and what protein you make and how you make it is explained in your DNA. So remember that your DNA gets copied or transcribed into RNA, and then the RNA is used as a template to tell ribosomes how to build proteins from amino acids by the process is called translation. These new proteins include enzymes for controlling metabolic reactions. The clotting factors in your blood are proteins that have to be made from the amino acids you take in. The keratin in your skin, your hair, the elastin and the collagen in connective tissues, the plasma proteins found in your blood plasma that regulate water balance, muscle components, actin and myosin are made of protein, and so you need amino acids from dietary protein to make those. Some of your hormones are made of amino acids, or they are proteins, which are several amino acids. And then antibodies are also proteins, so they are made from amino acids. So if we look here, a protein is digested, broken down to amino acids. Those can lead to structural proteins like muscle, or even the protein component of bones. Enzymes are made of protein. Hormones can be made from the amino acids and the plasma proteins. We can also take the amino acids, though, and convert them into glucose or to fat, or we can oxidize them for energy. Now, if we make glucose, we can turn that into fat, or we can oxidize that for energy. We can also oxidize fat for energy. But proteins generally don't follow this path too much. We take those amino acids and we use them to make our own body's proteins, whether they are structural or whether they're a hormone or an enzyme, whatever. Protein is kind of the last resort as a source of energy. And again, they don't mention it here, but you get a little over 4 calories per gram of protein if you are using it as an energy source. So proteins can supply energy. To do this, you first have to break them down into amino acids, and then the amino acids have to undergo a process called deamination. So hopefully you remember from Biology 103, amino acids have a carboxyl group and an amino group. Again, I've posted extra videos at the end of this unit that will show you all of this. But to use an amino acid for energy, the amine group has to be removed. And amine groups have nitrogen in them. They're generally NH2. And we take NH2s and bond them to a carbon with a double bond oxygen to form a compound called urea. And the urea gets filtered out of the blood by the kidneys and excreted from the body in the form of urine. Not all animals use urea as a way of getting rid of the amine groups. Birds and reptiles tend to excrete it in the form of ammonia. Mammals like us, like humans, excrete it as urea. But then urea will break down when it stands in water. So, I mean, if you go pee in the toilet and it stands there, it will break down into carbon dioxide and ammonia. So you'll get that characteristic ammonia, old, stale urine smell if it's left. Blood carries urea to the kidneys, excreted in urine. I've already mentioned that. All right, so where are we here? Certain kidney disorders impair removal of urea and raise the blood urea concentration. One of the tests you'll see on a metabolic panel is the BUN, the blood urea nitrogen. It will determine the concentration of urea in the blood. It's a good evaluation for kidney function. Let's see, what are we being shown here? Well, nothing we haven't really talked about. Proteins get hydrolyzed. Once again, nearly everything is joined together. Large molecules like polysaccharides, like proteins, like triglycerides, all of those things get put together by removing water. And so to take them apart, you put the water back. And that is called hydrolysis. Lysis meaning splitting, hydro referring to water. You split the molecules apart by putting water back where it came from. When you hydrolyze a protein, you end up with amino acids. They can be deaminated. You get rid of the NH2 groups as urea. And if you deaminate an amino acid and get rid of the urea, then you can use what's left as an energy source. Now, deaminated portions by various pathways can lead to, they can be stored as fat, they can be converted to glucose, they can form acetyl-CoA to go into the citric acid cycle. They can also form some of the other products that you find in the citric acid cycle, and they're being very vague about that here, but that's fine. We don't need to worry about it. Of course, the citric acid cycle, also known as the Krebs cycle, leads to production of energy in the form of ATP and heat, and it leads to the carbon dioxide and water that we get rid of. We exhale carbon dioxide, we exhale some of the water, we filter some of the water out of the blood with the kidneys, and we return that to the environment where the plants pick it up and make new carbohydrates and, to a lesser extent, proteins. And we eat it. Okay, protein sources. Foods rich in protein include meats, seafood, poultry, cheese, nuts, milk, eggs, cereals, the legumes like beans and peas. They do have protein. It's not as much as meat, but there is some there. The human body can synthesize a lot of the amino acids, but there are 8 of them that an adult needs to eat that we cannot make enough, or we can't make it at all. So they are called essential amino acids. Remember, an essential nutrient is one that your body cannot make for itself. Term refers to dietary intake because all the amino acids are required for normal protein synthesis. So here are the 20 amino acids found in food, and we're not getting to see the structure of these. It's just an alphabetical list. The ones that have an E beside them are the ones that are essential, and then there are 2 of them that have this CH beside them. That means they are essential for children. As we age, we either develop the ability to make these, or the need for them decreases. Children, of course, need extra because they're growing. They're building a lot more proteins than an adult. You need all 20 types of amino acids in the body at the same time to grow and for tissue repair. So if your diet is lacking one of the essential amino acids, your cells can't make the proteins. And essential amino acids don't get stored, so you can't just pull them out of storage. So a protein that has all of the essential amino acids in it and in proper balance is called a complete protein. My biochem course years ago, it was a nutritional biochemistry course, rated several foods in terms of their completeness, in terms of having all the amino acids and having them in the right proportions for our use. And the number one source is egg. Egg gets a score of 100, and everything else is rated lower than that. Incomplete proteins lack one or more essential amino acids. And they give us an example here. Corn has a protein in it called zein. And it doesn't have enough tryptophan or lysine. It is unable by itself to maintain human tissues or support normal growth and development. But beans are low in methionine, but have lots of lysine. They mention rice lacking lysine, but having enough methionine. So when you put beans and rice together, you get a complete protein. Now, they also mentioned up here corn. When you put corn together with beans, and a popular one for that is lima beans, you get a dish called succotash. And what's not in the beans is in the corn and vice versa. So you can create complete proteins by putting the right foods together. They used to mention succotash in the text here, but I see they don't do that anymore. And a lot of people would laugh when we would talk about it. They said, "Oh, I just thought succotash was something that that cartoon cat talked about." But no, it is a food dish. It is one of my favorites. All right, I'm not going to talk about nitrogen balance. Protein requirements, again, as always, it depends on the person. It depends on their activity level and so forth. But for the average adult, nutritionists recommend about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram, translated 0.4 grams for every pound of body weight. So if you weighed 150 pounds, you'd need about 60 grams of protein. Another way to estimate it would be to divide your weight in pounds by 2, and that means most people need 60 to 150 grams of protein a day. That would be higher for someone who's pregnant because you're not just maintaining your own body, but you have a fetus developing and needing extra protein. Protein deficiency can cause tissue wasting, but also decrease the level of plasma proteins, and that will decrease the colloid osmotic pressure of the plasma, and as a result, you can have edema, in this case called nutritional edema. There used to be an illustration here, and I think it comes toward the end of the chapter. There's a picture of a child who is clearly starving. They're very skinny except for their belly, and it is all blown up, and that is nutritional edema, a form of it called ascites. Okay, so that's it for the section here on proteins.